you will learn about land as a natural resource. The part of the Earth's surface that is not covered by water is called land. Land is a precious resource, without which life, as we know it, cannot be sustained. Did you know? About 30% of the Earth's total area is land. The rest is covered by water. Of that 30%, there are areas that are not habitable. People live in those areas of land that are habitable. And as you know, the characteristics of land differ from place to place. In some areas, land has a rugged topography, steep slopes of the mountains like in the Himalayas, and low-lying areas susceptible to waterlogging. In other areas, land takes the form of a desert, like in the Sahara Desert in Africa and Rajasthan in India. Then there are thick forested areas, plains, and land around rivers. What is the result of variations in the characteristics of land? Population distribution depends on the land characteristics and the climatic features of a place. Thus, variations in land and climate accounts for the uneven distribution of population in different parts of the world. For example, the Sahara Desert does not attract a lot of people because life in a desert is very hard. Water and food are scarce. The people depend on the sparse crop of maize and grains for their livelihood. Did you know? Mongolia is the most sparsely populated country in the world. This is largely because most of Mongolia consists of uninhabitable terrain like deserts and mountains unfit for cultivation. In addition, the winters are long and harsh. Now let's consider a forest area. The Amazon that thrives with plant and animal life. There are fruits, meat, and a good supply of water to grow various plants. However, not everyone likes living in the midst of a thick jungle. Therefore, the Amazon forests are not densely populated either. If you examine the way in which the world population is distributed, you will see that some countries like India and China are densely populated. However, countries like Canada and Australia do not have a very high population density. Places like India and China consist of river valleys, and hence arable land, and have comparatively moderate climates. Australia and Canada, on the other hand, have vast empty spaces, extreme climates, and not enough arable land. Thus, low-lying areas that have a rugged terrain, steep slopes, a desert, or thick forests do not attract heavy population. These areas are not comfortable to settle down in. On the other hand, plains and river valleys are densely populated. That's because they offer suitable land for agriculture apart from more moderate climatic conditions. You just saw where all people prefer to live. Let us now see how they live and use the land they live on. We use land for agriculture, forestry, mining, building houses, roads, and setting up various industries. All these human activities are broadly termed as land use. Some pieces of land are good for agriculture, while others are suitable for erecting buildings. Why is a tract of land put to a particular use? Land use depends on factors like topography, soil, climatic conditions, presence of mineral reserves, and the availability of drinking water. Additionally, land use is affected by human factors such as population and technology. For example, an Eskimo's main food source is all that water under the ice. People living in the Sahara make do with whatever the desert offers them. And the jungle tribes living in the thick forests of Amazon enjoy the bounty that the vegetation around them provides. Here are some examples that show the land use pattern around the world. Australia is mostly semi-arid, and therefore much of the land is covered by grasslands. This is why Australia uses 56% of its land as pasture. Due to the fertile northern plains, India has a huge tract of arable land. In fact, India has the highest percentage of agricultural land. It uses 57% of its land for farming. Much of Japan consists of steep, uninhabitable land that is prone to landslides. This is why only about 30% of land in Japan is used for agriculture or for living, while the remaining 67% is covered by forests. Large parts of Canada experience harsh winters and are covered by tundra vegetation. In addition, a large portion of the land is used for mining. This is why Canada uses 52% of its land for uses other than cropland, pasture, and forests. We saw how land is used. But who owns land? A piece of land is either owned by an individual or by a community. Land owned by an individual person is called private land. Land that is owned collectively by a community is called community land. Community land is also known as common property resource, since it is used for common purposes like collection of fodder, fruits, nuts, and medicinal herbs. Look around and you will see many examples of common property resources. Can you name some? More and more people are settling down on habitable tracts of land. However, land, as we saw earlier, is limited. Have you ever thought of how this strain can impact land we live on? As our society is going through cultural changes, land use patterns are also changing. More and more houses, malls, and commercial complexes are encroaching on the common land. Agriculture is expanding into rural areas. This is denuding common areas of forests and arable land, which are vital natural resources. All these human activities and land use are causing tremendous pressure on the land. Landslides, soil erosion, land degradation, and desertification are becoming major threats to the environment because of this pressure on land. What can we do to stop this degradation of land and restore the natural balance? We can start by planting more trees so that the forest cover is restored. This process is known as afforestation. Land reclamation is another method of land conservation. Land can be reclaimed by creating new land on the sea or riverbeds by dumping tons of rubble and material into it. In fact, the city of Rio de Janeiro in Brazil is largely built on reclaimed land. Land reclamation also involves land restoration by removing some of the adverse effects of land degradation. For farmers, an important measure is to check and regulate the use of chemical pesticides and fertilizers and prevent overgrazing. Let's look at one of the major environmental threats resulting from land degradation: landslides. What exactly is a landslide? When rock, debris, or loose earth move down a slope in a huge mass, it is termed as a landslide. Landslides often accompany earthquakes, floods, and volcanoes. In hilly terrain, landslides are a major concern as they are a widely spread natural disaster that strikes often and causes a lot of damage to life and property. Let's see how. A landslide caused by prolonged heavy rainfall can block the path of a river. These river blocks, when they burst, can lead to floods in the settlements downstream. Human activity can also cause landslides. Here is an example of a massive landslide that occurred in Pangi village in Kinnaur district of Himachal Pradesh, India. Severe land blasting that took place in the area caused the landslide. The village had to be completely evacuated, and a stretch of National Highway number 22 was damaged. To curb landslides, it is important to protect the forest cover in hilly regions. Tree roots hold soil and rocks in place, and are thus effective in preventing soil from sliding down a slope. What can we do to reduce the destruction caused by landslides? Here are some measures to control damage from landslides. Identify landslide-prone areas through hazard mapping and avoid building houses in such regions. Build retention walls to stop land from slipping. The city of Anaheim in California, USA, located in a landslide-prone area, uses retention walls. Increase vegetation cover to curb landslides. Build surface water drainage control systems. This will help regulate the movement of landslides along with rainwater and spring flows.